Um, Interested what Jeff had to say about literary fiction. All writing is just good writing. I mean, you put words together, and how they look on the page and how they sound in your ear, that's all what making a great sentence is all about, and stringing sentences together. So, and I'm always sort of offended that people say, well, you can't, you either write literary fiction or you write something else. Well, that's a bunch of horsepucky, because you either write well or you don't. Some people write better than others, and that's okay. The Private Palmer stuff is just very close to my heart, because it's as good a literature as you're ever going to read, and it moves, and this character is wonderful. And Mark and I were chatting earlier about this, and my wife Terry had said to me as we were driving over that Murph and Private Palmer and Pete Larkey are the same person. They're Gary. Yeah. It's not autobiographical in the sense that I mean, obviously there's that, but they are Gary, and it's wonderful. So I'm reading a little bit longer passage, and just to sort of set it up, Aristotle wrote in the Poetics, in the Unities, he said in the Poetics, and my Professor Gallagher will know this, that dramatic action takes place in a 24-hour period. Well, that doesn't much happen anymore, but it nearly does in this. What happens to Pete Larkey in about 36 or 48 hours is that, and I was reminded, those of you old enough to remember Lil Abner and Al Cap, he had a character, Joe, who always had a rain cloud over his head everywhere he went. Something bad was always happening to him. Poor Pete Larkey gets up in the morning, needs to go and find a job, which he doesn't really want to do, but he knows he needs to go to the unemployment office, and the battery cables are loose. He doesn't know that. The damn car won't start. And it's like the movie North by Northwest, when Cary Grant gets, the bad guys are trying to figure out who the spy is, and at the same time, Cary Grant answers a bellboy that says, calling so they think it's him. Everything that happens bad happens after that. Everything that bad happens to Pete Larkey happens after he doesn't test the battery cables. So he's gone, walked into town, gonna buy a battery, take the cab back, and try to get his car started and go do what he needs to do. Instead of doing that, he goes into the bar where he sees Morton and Rudy the bartender, and then decides, I'm not gonna buy the battery, I'm just gonna go back and test the battery cables. So he's walking back to his house on the edge of town, and this is what happens. I watched the approach of the car. It had a familiar carriage. It came closer, and familiarity blossomed into recognition. I slowed. Then I stopped. Was that my car? I stepped farther off to the side of the road and squinted at it. Could there be another green Ford in this county? It was traveling the speed limit, 35, rolling toward me with every scratch and dent coming into familiar focus. My eyes were drawn to the windshield. Dark silhouette of a head. My Ford sailed past with someone else at the wheel. I was dumbstruck. I noted the blue work shirt worn by the driver, a tough-looking character, longish dark hair, staring straight ahead. Didn't appear to see me. I turned with its passing and watched my taillights dwindling down the road. I was drawn toward it as if invisible car hands were reaching out. Save me! I'm being taken away! I yelled, hey! But the sound died on the prairie air. I began jogging after my car. My machine was alive. The battery worked. Manifest proof. My brain chewed on that as I ran toward the strip mall, watching my car growing smaller and smaller in the distance. It was instinctive, this run. As instinctive as running from danger. The body takes over. The mind is too rattled to make logical choice. The snake brain is activated. Something belonging to me is going away. I saw the car turn left at the intersection of Hawthorne Drive and cruise toward the residential district. He wasn't speeding, this thief, just taking his leisurely time driving a car that didn't belong to him. The work shirt made me think he was a convict, escaped. Was there a prison in the vicinity? I did not think so. He might have traveled for miles on foot in the night, then saw an opportunity to put fast distance between himself and whatever lockup or work farm he had fled. A car parked in a driveway in front of a house in the middle of nowhere. Surely he had come out of the woods, might have lain in wait, might have witnessed my plight. Dead car, dead battery, the fool who lives alone trudging off toward town, leaving a window of opportunity to hotwire an automobile. I came to the intersection and looked off to my left and saw the faintest shadow of the rear of my automobile in the distance. It had stopped. I made the left turn onto Hawthorne and picked up speed. The nearest house was 2 blocks farther along. I could phone from there. I hurried my pace and only then heard the whimpering of my lungs and lips. I had not run anywhere in 10 years. It was catching up with me. I was forced to slow in spite of my desperation. Maybe the convict had stopped to pick up a cohort, someone on the outside, a dame who would hide him until the coast was clear. My analysis turned to fictive speculation, wishful thinking, hope, the duplicitous thing that yanks men out of bed every morning. I slowed more as I got closer, my body faltering in the clutch. This is how it goes in dreams. You never seem to reach your goal. My car had stopped, and my personal speed meant nothing. I was merely walking fast now and heaving tired breath. I justified it mentally, saved my strength for the moment when I arrived at my car and confronted the felon. I imagined the scene, yanking the door open, a snarl of anger, vindictive as a curled fist, the demand of an explanation. The movie heroics took a bad turn there. He leaps out and cold cocks me, or he jams the shift into low and peels out, spinning me like a top. How many times in a wronged man's life is he granted the privilege of confronting a perpetrator? But you falter in the clutch. You don't know what to say. Adrenaline does battle with common sense. Call the police. That's what our system of justice was set up for, to let cooler heads prevail and allow the weak to defeat the strong. Then it moved. The car lurched forward and began dwindling. Another whimper from my lips. I got back up to speed, my calves aching. My left hand reached out. Stop! I almost caught you! But the car was moving, and I could see now that it was speeding. Fast exit. The dame probably had come running out of the house with a suitcase and drove off. Off to Vegas. Charles Starkweather and his mall back in action. I slowed to a fast walk. People were coming out of their houses. Had he burned rubber? Unusual sound in a placid suburb? Mothers checking on children? Fathers distracted from sports TV? What's going on out there in normally quiet suburbia? People always converge. Herd instinct, circle the wagons, protect the tribe. By the time I was within hearing distance of conversations, I was moving at a trudging pace. At least I could phone from the house of the home of a bystander. I would have to explain myself to these people. Yes, that was my car. Did you see the driver? Did he pick someone up? I was rehearsing my lines for the moment when they would turn and see a lone man staggering along the asphalt and wonder what new strange thing was taking place in the suburbs. I was 1 block away when I saw the body lying on the side of the road. This brought me up short. I stopped and looked at 3 men who were kneeling by the body, peering closely but not touching it. My God, somebody had been knocked to the pavement by my stolen car. A few faces turned my way. Why did this make me feel guilty? I began moving again, my lungs ballooning. I was in terrible shape. I did not think I would be able to speak when I got to the crowd.